Okay, be honest with me for a second. Are you watching this explainer with a hunched neck right now? Like, are you curled up, looking a bit like a human question mark? Take a quick mental inventory of your posture for me. Are your shoulders creeping up towards your ears? Is your head pushed forward, kind of straining closer to the screen? Well, if you just took a deep breath and sat up a little straighter, you are absolutely who this is for. Welcome to the modern epidemic of physical tension.
So let's dive right into this explainer and discover exactly how to combat this modern epidemic of tech neck. Today, we're exploring how to use a safe, targeted practice of yoga for neck pain to actually heal, release those tight shoulders, and undo the daily damage of our totally screen-obsessed lives. And honestly, more importantly, we're going to learn how to do all of this without accidentally making things worse.
We've got a super clear roadmap today. We're covering the epidemic of neck pain, when yoga actually makes it worse, the essential rules for healing, the anatomy of neck alignment, and finally, those poses for quick relief.
All right, part one, the epidemic of neck pain. Let's look at just how widespread this issue really is.
What's truly staggering here is the sheer volume of the problem. A World Health Organization task force reported in the journal Spine that neck pain is so much more common than we previously believed. To put it in perspective, between 10 and 20% of adults are suffering from chronic or persistent neck pain. Think about that. That is a massive chunk of the population. This isn't just, a minor ache from sleeping on a weird pillow. This is chronic tension from typing on laptops, lugging heavy bags, and just staring down at our devices all day. It's literally built into our daily routines.
Which brings us to part two, when yoga makes it worse. Now, when we're in pain, we usually think of yoga as this foolproof, perfectly safe cure, right? But get this. Research from the Journal of Bodywork and Movement Therapies found that 21% of yoga practitioners actually experience injuries when practicing without proper guidance. A whole 21%. And the tragic part? Most of these are completely preventable. People unroll their mats with the absolute best intentions. They push into a stretch, and bam, their back screams in protest. We really need to practice smarter.
The biggest culprit behind these injuries is the mindset we bring to the mat. You literally have to leave that toxic gym mentality at the door. If your whole vibe is no pain, no gain, you're going to devastate your back and neck. In a true healing practice, pain is your body's alarm system. It's not a challenge to overcome. When you push through sharp pain, you're creating micro-trauma in your tissues that actively delays your healing. We've got to shift to listening to our bodies.
So, moving right along to part three, essential rules for healing. Let's lay down some non-negotiable safety rules before we start stretching.
I want you to memorize this traffic light system. It's the absolute best way to monitor your body's signals. Green light? That means you feel mild pulling, muscle engagement, maybe some warmth. You're in the healing zone, so keep going. Yellow light means moderate discomfort or mild twinges. Proceed with extreme caution, maybe back off just a little bit. But a red light, sharp, stabbing pain, tingling down your arm, numbness, no way, you stop immediately. That is your alarm system blaring.
Next up is the 70% rule. When you're healing neck pain, flexibility is not the goal. Actually, scratch that. Stability is the goal. This rule says you should only practice at 70% of your maximum range of motion. So if you can stretch all the way down to the floor, just stop at your shins instead. This built-in buffer zone protects your super vulnerable tissues and lets you practice more frequently without hurting yourself.
And this feeds perfectly into yoga therapist Doug Keller's brilliant 3 R's framework. It's such a gentle, creative way to increase your range of motion without forcing anything at all. First, you resist by engaging the muscles slightly right in the stretch. Second, you relax that effort, taking a nice, deep breath. And finally, you gently re-stretch, just allowing the body to naturally deepen into the space you just created. No pulling, no forcing, just listening.
And remember, all of this movement has to be supported. Spine biomechanics expert Dr. Stuart McGill hit the nail on the head when he said, "The spine requires muscular bracing before movement. Without engaging your core, your spine completely lacks structural support. Think of your core as a protective corset. Engaging it is what makes these poses safe and gives your neck the stability it actually needs to let go of tension."
Okay, part 4, anatomy of neck alignment.
Everything, and I mean everything, revolves around finding a neutral spine. This just means respecting your body's natural curves, the inward curve at your lower back and the outward curve at your mid-back. Keeping these curves intact distributes physical force perfectly across your body. Finding this neutral spine is the fundamental difference between a practice that heals your neck and one that actively harms it.
You can really see how this plays out in a pose like Warrior 2. If you tense your chest and hunch those shoulders up, you end up internally rotating the arm bones and pinching the super delicate muscles of your rotator cuff. You're literally pulling yourself up by your neck straps. But when you properly align the neck vertically right over the torso, the trapezius muscles release down the back. The sides of the neck are free to lengthen, and all that upper back tension just melts away.
And finally, Part 5, Poses for Quick Relief. Let's put this anatomy into action.
First up is the gentle twist. This simple seated posture is a total game changer for releasing the tightness we accumulate in our upper backs. You simply sit tall, finding that neutral spine, place your right hand on your left knee, and twist gently from the spine, not the neck. Hold it, take a deep breath, and switch sides. It perfectly unwinds the postural muscles we clench all day long.
Next is the X stretch pose. Think about the posture you adopt when scrolling on your phone. Slumped, chest collapsed, head jutting forward, right? Well, the X stretch is the exact antidote to that. You extend your arms out wide in an X shape, spread your fingers really wide to engage those arm muscles, and breathe deeply into the upper chest. You're forcefully but gently opening the chest and shoulders to counteract screen time. Then we've got Grivasana, which is a mindful practice of specific neck rolls and stretches. By using targeted neck extensions, you intensely decompress the craniovertebral junctions. That's a fancy way of saying the very top hinges of your spine, right where it meets your skull. This actively stretches the scalene and trapezius muscles, where all our stress tightly resides. Just remember that 70% rule here. Do not crank your neck to its absolute limit. And please, whatever you do, don't hold your breath. The ancient Hatha Yoga Pradipika text says, "When the breath is irregular, the mind is unsteady." And that unsteadiness translates directly into physical rigidity. Holding your breath creates tension throughout your entire body. To get that sweet release in your neck, your breath absolutely must be deep, steady, and rhythmic. The best part? You don't need a grueling hour-long session to fix your posture. A short, consistent 10-minute practice using these principles is way more effective for combating inflammation and reducing stress than occasional, intense workouts. Daily, gentle practice teaches your body an entirely new way to hold itself.
So, we've broken down the why and the how of tech neck, and the precise, safe ways to unravel it. The power to heal is literally in your hands. So, with these new safety rules in mind, what will you do to relieve your neck pain today? Step away from the screen, find your neutral spine, and start healing. Until next time, stay curious and stay aligned.